Yep. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I heard that Boy Scout the loudest.
I will call to order the September meeting for the Jefferson County Local Development Corporation. Privilege of the floor. Anyone? We received minutes in our packets from our last meeting. Is there any additions and/or corrections?
Motion approved?
I have a motion. Do I have a
Second.
second? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Treasurer's report?
Treasurer's report starts on page 7. This is 11 months, so we're nearing the end of the year. You can see that our year-to-date revenues of $1,225,000, pretty darn close to our projected budget for the year. And we probably will exceed our budget because our monthly revenues are over $100,000. So that's good there. You can see that the what's it here? We had extra income from the New York State microgrid grant, and there was another grant in here. No, I guess not. And we have more interest income than we had projected in here, so that's why we're doing so well. Under revenues, we're doing well. There's nothing that's really out of line here. I was looking through it. A lot of things we have undersold. Bad debt, we have a recovery of 86, so that kind of helps that number, 86,000. So that helps that number there. Year to date, we're well under our expenses of at just 769,000, and we will come in well under projections for expenses. Year to date revenues are 554,000, again much better than we had projected, and looks like we will probably stay at least in that area for the end of the year. Unless there's something out there, Lyle, that we don't know about.
Don't know anything at this point, we're almost finished. So.
Yep. You can see the next page is where Lyle breaks out what we spent for our marketing program, and you can see that we are underspent on that. And the next area here is ag and, manufacturing, and we haven't spent the money we had allocated to that either. Oops. And the next area is the ag program. We have overspent there, which we knew that was going to be. We're using the revenues that we get from the county and matching up the expenses against it, and we knew that we would be subsidizing that from our regular revenues. So that's fine there. Balance sheet. You can see that we, the LDC is doing well as far as cash is concerned. We have over $2 million in cash, and we have money in revolving loan fund cash available also. Our loans receivable are a little over $1.5 million. Total assets, $4,790,000. Our payables are just basically our deferred income. We've been paid revenues, and we take it income as we've earned it. And so that's all we have there really is small accounts payable and then deferred revenue. And so our capital is $4,638,000. And we have our aged receivables here, which are basically our loan receivables. And and I guess that's really about it. I reviewed the cash receipts and disbursements. There's not a whole lot there. That's, basically the disbursements, a lot of the payroll and that type of stuff. Everything looks good there. And I guess that's it. Pretty easy. report this month.
Any questions on the treasurer's report? A
Motion to be accepted?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept it. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, thank you. Committee reports, we have no committee reports. Unfinished business, Dad.
None, sir.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Counselor, anything from you?
Nothing.
Nothing, beautiful.
Cheers.
All right, we have a presentation this morning from John Bate.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Welcome back, John.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here. I have a presentation behind you if I.
Here.
if I-
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You go.
Thank you.
Click, run the
And I'll
clicker.
just move right around here.
If we can help out, you're under budget with expenses. I mean, if you need a couple extra invoices or anything, I mean, we'd be happy to put them in.
You're much too willing.
Okay. You have to do from the beginning?
You had the thing.
Oh,
You can put the mouse on the counter if you want, or table.
I thought it was I thought it was just a clicker.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay, thank you for inviting me, Mr. Chairman. The rest of the board, thank you very much for inviting me here today. As you know, our company is named Dentico. I've been here, I think, once or twice before, talking about energy in general. And today I'm going to give you a project update on the New York Prize and what we're doing with the microwave. Excuse me.
It's okay.
I can click it for you.
Okay. Wasn't sure. I just
Okay.
have to click it. That's all.
All right.
Okay. Just as a little bit of a background, first of all, we're doing right now. Strong slide.
You want me to go back?
Okay. Little bit of a background, just on energy in general here in New York State, which is one of the leaders actually in energy transformation. There is a major change in the electrical systems right now throughout the United States. Basically, everybody's going from the single point of generation. I'm sorry, for the last 100 years, you've gone from the single point of generation out to buildings, et cetera, out to the end users. And the change that's happening right now is going into what they call distributed energy resources, where a farm, an office building, any entity basically can start to generate their own resources and tie that into their building and not have to use utilities for their energy. DERs can be residential, commercial, institutional, and you'll see some of that as we go on. The New York State Energy Plan, which is available online if you wanted to take a look at it, started as the New York Energy Highway and is now changed into what they call Reforming the Energy Vision. And Reforming the Energy Vision basically is put together by the Public Service Commission and the Governor's Office, basically the state, and the whole push again is to transfer from central to distributed resources. On that note, the state of New York put out a request for grants under PON 3044 entitled New York Prize, and I think everybody around the table knows that one of the awards went to this entity here, the Jefferson County Local Development Corporation. There were about, I think, the numbers I keep on changing a little bit, Don, but I guess there was about 180 applications, and maybe about 70 got approved for the grants. This is one of your organization has one of the grants, and in that feasibility study, we're going to have partners with the Local Development Corporation. That's the grant is in the name of the Local Development Corporation, and town of Watertown, Jefferson County, and those are the partners, Entico, Eaton Corporation, that are actually putting this feasibility study together. The feasibility study is going to include the community, the Jefferson County Community College, their grounds, the industrial park directly across 81 from there, and the fire station that's located in the industrial park. The results of this study and this feasibility study really go two ways. One, for us to see if this is a bankable solution and we can do this on our own, or two, or maybe primary, to give data to NYSERDA so they could give it to the PSC to find out what type of pitfalls we run into and what PSC laws need to be changed to move this microgrid revolution, so to speak, forward.
What Eaton Corp and the other entity, I'm not sure how you pronounce it,
Oh, KEOPS.
Keops, what role are they playing?
Eaton Corporation has microgrids up and running now. And Eaton Corporation provides most of the transformers and the big heavy-duty units that will be on the grid itself. KEOPS is a architectural and survey group that's going to help us with the look and feel of where the power lines go and things of that nature. Whoops, I'm sorry.
John, I can push the forward
Yeah,
button on it
yeah.
for you.
So why don't you do that for me, if you don't mind? Okay, and the objectives, that we put into the grant are, first of all, new jobs for the community, and to put this infrastructure in so the businesses that are here prosper and continue to grow and bring on more, and bring in more, employment for the area. That's the primary goals of this. Also, to reduce energy consumption through energy efficiency within the buildings, changing light bulbs, doing things with their HVAC, et cetera, to reduce their overall energy costs with the implementation of this new technology, to increase the reliability, to increase the quality, the resiliency of their energy, and we've already noted that at the industrial park they do have brownouts continuously almost every month. Causes their calendaring, in certain cases causes their calendaring machines to go down, reset everything. So this is a real important spot to do this in the industrial park. And of course, the clean energy infrastructure to reduce the CO2 emissions that everybody's been talking about going green. What is this physically going to look like? For those that don't know the exact area, community college is down to the right there, and fire station is to the left. And we're working and talking about the easements of where to put transmission lines in the ground that would feed the entire industrial park. So right now, these are the people that are involved. And if you hit the next slide, please. The members of the facility on the microgrid right now, people that have talked to us and said, yeah, we want to move forward with this, are the community college, and we're looking at the administration building there, and the housing where they house the students right now, and I think there's one other building in between there. The fire station, Allied Motion, Henderson, North American Tapes, Timeless Frames, and Car Freshener. So right now we're in the process of getting their utility bills, studying their utility bills, analyzing the rate structure on their utility bills, and that's part of what we have to put together for NYSERDA on here to be able to figure out what equipment we put where. Right now, this is where we are with our project tasks. There's 5 different tasks that we have to do, and the last one is the actual the writing of the study itself. And of course, we haven't done that yet. But we have to develop the microgrid capabilities, where to put it, how to put it, how much power is going to be going through there, the technical designs and the technical design cost and infrastructure. Where do we put solar, for example? Do we use combined heat and power? Where do we put those particular units? How big are they? All of that's in the design and the configurations. Then probably 3 and 4 are the most important, the commercial viability of the project. And we've been pushing for this to be a bankable project, meaning that we can get third-party banks to actually put the dollars to make this a go, rather than depend upon state dollars to make it a go. Cost benefit analysis for each one of the businesses that are involved in here, along with the community college. And then we have to package this all up before the end of the year and to NYSERDA. That's the project tasks. Next slide, please. Project hurdles. This is not a slam dunk. This is a very technical and complex piece of business here, or analysis. And these are some of the things that we've run into thus far. We're working on them. I don't know when some of them are going to change or not change. The first one there is called an SC7 tariff. And what that is if you disconnect from your utility, if you decide that you're going to generate your own electricity, the utility still can charge you for standby charges. And the standby charges, I know in particular, standby charges on a monthly basis would be probably about maybe 25% of what the bill normally would be. So the utility wins either way. So that's one of the things that the PSC is looking at a change. An example, Con Edison did it with the City of New York on Rikers Island, and Con Edison actually dropped the charge there, so they don't charge them anything for standby. Whether that's going to permeate to all of the different microgrids, we don't know, but that's one of the project hurdles. Regulations regarding rights of way. We thought that was going to be a little bigger hurdle than it is, but right now the county seems to own all of the properties that we need to go across, so we don't think that that's going to be a problem. Ownership, who owns what on this? What we've been going forward with right now is having Jefferson County own all of the infrastructures that's in the ground, because those structures on top of the ground, whether they be solar arrays or there's no wind in this, but any other type of resource, those are going to change every 20 years probably, but the wires in the ground are not. So the idea is to have the county own the in-ground infrastructure, and for somebody like us or the banks to own the resources. Another thing we ran into is the sale of electricity. A municipal government cannot sell electricity unless they're a municipal utility. So we're playing around with the legal structure to find out how to work around that. Islanding with the utilities, they're being pushed by the PSC to do it. Pushed is a good word because they're not moving quickly. Islanding means if there's an event that happens, you're able to disconnect from the grid and run on your own. And that's one of the key components of doing in REV, is to be able to do that. We've learned from National Grid that this particular area is an area that gets service last during an event. Because of the way that the transformers are set up, we don't have the one-line drawings, but this is what they've told us thus far. So this is a perfect application for islanding. If there is an event, National Grid just takes us off the grid, and we're able to produce energy on our own in this environment. And Don and I just had a meeting with the Green Bank. The Green Bank is a $1 billion fund put together by the state of New York. They're part of NYSERDA. We had a meeting with them because what happens in the future if on that topography that I showed you, Henderson Manufacturing leaves, and then all of a sudden we don't have all of the energy. We don't have all of the revenue stream that we thought we had, because one of the essential components left. So the Green Bank has told us already that they will provide an insurance to the banks where they would come up with the money if somebody left the project, so we don't have a deficit in the revenue stream. So those are just some of the hurdles that we've run into. Joy? The infrastructure, this is a busy slide, and you can probably take a better look at it on your paper. But basically, we're partners with National Grid on this, the LDC and Entico. The optimum is to have a special purpose entity that owns that infrastructure, and the JCM members, the businesses the revenue would go into the special purpose entity, as with the energy, and then the JCLDC would own the infrastructure, with us and Eaton do the operations and maintenance and the project development. So it's a busy slide, there's a lot of stuff on there, but this is not cast in stone. You know, Harris Beach can talk to us tomorrow, and we might have to move the boxes around a little bit, but preliminarily, this is the way that it's structured. And then to kind of sum up, you know, some of the future considerations that we've been looking at when we've been doing this is the additional members at the present site. You know, they're always welcome. Across the river is the Jefferson County Highway Complex, and you know, they can come on board to this once this is up and running. We've had conversations through Jay Madison with the U.S. Dairy Association. There's, I don't know, 350,000 cows in this area, right? Some number like that, and they would like to get involved in this in some way, shape, or form. They formed a new entity, I think, August 1st, and they wanted us to work with them after August 1st, and we just haven't got there yet. The new up-and-coming airport park, the City of Watertown wastewater treatment plant. There's some new technology that I think you had a presentation of from Clear Cove that we'd like to bundle in and add them to the mix on this. The City Center Industrial Park, which we've done a lot of study on for the CFA application a year ago that we put in, and of course the corporate park that's across from 81. So these are all possible people that can continue to upgrade and enlarge the study that we're working on. So that's the update. This is pretty much the exact update that we have to give to NYSERDA on a monthly basis as well. So that's what I've given you today. Does anybody have any questions on it? Yes, sir.
Now, could you talk again about the ownership of the infrastructure? Because I thought I heard two different things. The county owning it, and then I saw something about Jefferson LDC owning it or something.
John
Oh.
here changed the two.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
So you meant it would be the, geez, okay,
Yes,
thank you.
yeah. Again, that would be what's in the ground.
Right.
With the idea that that's going to be there for a long time. We may not be here for a long time. Or our
Speak
predecessor.
for yourself.
Yeah.
If
All right.
Let me add a
Sure.
couple real quick things without spending a lot of time. But first of all, it's been a pleasure to work with John Bay, and of course, many of you know Mark Storch, who is not a bad guy. He drinks a lot of coffee, but he's from the Buffalo area, and he helped connect us with John way back when. But thanks to this board having some vision 3 or 4 years ago about what the energy distribution and generation system in New York is going to look like, you guys have some vision here, and we got started at this well before anybody else, or most everybody else, in the state of New York. And we had some rough edges because
Yeah.
people didn't understand what we were attempting to do. But by virtue of doing that, I would say we're probably one of the top 5 in the state in terms of where we are and how many issues we're discovering and how many things that we are beginning to resolve as we go forward. And there are occasions that because we also, as you know and John knows, we actually ended up with 2 New York Prize grants for this county, which is quite rare. But John's group, Etico, has been way up in front of this. And what a pleasure it's been to work with them as we kind of go through these problems. Because they're not, as John pointed out, the problems we're talking about here, there is nothing simple about these issues. When you start talking about how we're going to get energy across Route 81, for example, or how we're going to get it from one local company under county roads or over this or under that, as just one example, you're talking about some issues that have got to be worked out. So the board, I really can't tell you how important what we're doing is, in my opinion. We're talking about, at the end of the day, saving jobs, creating an opportunity for this community to capitalize on its natural resource. We haven't been able to do that effectively, in my opinion, even though at the moment we we are an exporter of energy, but at the end of the day, these kinds of things will begin to develop the natural attributes this community has, and we can use that as a springboard for getting our job creation activities underway. So, John, thanks for good support, and
Thank
the one thing about Ennico, by the way, I'll tell you, and they're becoming well-known across the state, if you guys have any issues or questions, anytime, pick up the phone and call him. He's that kind of guy, we can work with him. So.
Yeah, I think we passed out cards here, and, you know, I don't wanna put a slide like that up here, but, and pat ourselves on the back, but again, with Don's insight and the board's insight here, we are way ahead of everybody else. NYSERDA looks to us to come up with those hurdles and pass those hurdles on to them. National Grid actually built a checklist for their other New York Prize applicants based upon the stuff that we've sent them. So we are ahead, and we're not talking about being ahead of some little communities. I mean, we're working with Buffalo right now. We're working with White Plains. We're working with Rochester, and we're way ahead. Way ahead of everybody on this, so kudos to the board here on your insight moving forward with this type of stuff. So, and thank you. Yes.
Question, you know, we're talking about being an exporter of energy, and you're doing this right on the border of Black River, and obviously that's a generator of energy. Are we gonna be able to tap into some of that energy?
I hope so. You know,
I know it's different companies own
yeah, we're looking at that right. We're looking at that right now. Yes, that's one of the ideas that we have. Probably not in the phase 1 feasibility, because the dollars are limited there of what we can do, and the primary purpose of that feasibility is to get the data into NYSERDA. But we are going to look at taking hydro off of the Black River, because that's inexpensive energy, which could certainly lower our costs for the project. So yes, the answer is yes, and that's a great idea. Thank you.
The point, Michelle, is that it's once you've identified an off-taker for the energy we develop, then you've got a business proposition that you can take to somebody who builds these things and say, if you build it, we know who's going to buy your energy. And so the notion here is to create this enclave where we need energy and help develop the natural attributes again. I mean, hydro is a perfect example. I mean, we're right there. We can develop additional spots along the Black River. This agency, 4 or 5 years ago, actually went up and down the Black River to identify sites. We know that there are at least 3 potential hydro development sites along the Black River. And by that I mean, we know that there is a head, we know that there is a drop in water that, you know, either at one time they were developed or could be developed. Sometimes they were used for purposes other than energy generation, but nonetheless they exist. This is an opportunity for us to say, we're going to create our own PPA, our own essentially power purchase agreement. And so this has an opportunity for people to jump on board and say, okay, now we know where we can sell this energy, it's willing to make the investment.
Right. And we're calling that bankable. So one of the things that Entico tries to do as we're moving forward with this is just not to get $100,000 to do a grant. We want to do this project and make sure this project is bankable, hence us going to the Green Bank, been meeting with banks out of Philadelphia as well. They're tied into entities called home offices. I don't know if you know what home offices. Home offices, if you're a Rockefeller or a Walmart, you need a group of 15 people to manage your money on a daily basis. So that's called a home office. And with federal incentives that are available, those home offices want those tax deductions. They want that accelerated depreciation, amortization, things of that nature. So we're tying a lot of this into that, and to back up the hydro again. It's our understanding that there's 47 megawatts worth of power still left on the Black River to be able to build hydro sites. So just to give you an idea, 47 megawatts, this whole project is probably going to be about 9 megawatts. So there's room for us to advance to the corporate parks, to the other corporate parks and things like that, just on the hydro that you're talking about. So yes, that's an important facet going forward.
One last observation. When this board first began looking at energy and how we generate it, how we distribute it, and so on, frankly, the political environment in Albany was less than receptive. And today, there is just a complete 180-degree turnaround there. The governor has realized that if we stay the course, that is to say, if we continue to use the grid as our sole source of energy supply, we're looking at $100 billion, I don't know, there's
Yeah.
80 billion, that depends on who you ask. But there's an enormous amount of money that's going to have to be invested in the grid if we don't provide some relief to how the energy is generated and distributed. And when I say we, I mean the state of New York. And so now, with the governor's backing, NYSERDA's push, Public Service Commission involvement, we're now getting a political environment where these things can move forward. And I think the future is bright for us because we have an opportunity to be the generator of some of this energy as opposed to just the consumer of some of these energies. You look at the large cities, for example, they're consumers, they are not generators. We can generate and supply, which means that we bring net revenue back into the community, thereby creating jobs. So I think maybe it's not this year, maybe it's not next year, maybe I'll be long gone, but at some point in time, this is gonna be a real asset for our community.
Just a reminder, looking forward to, there's still 2 more rounds of this New York Prize. For all these projects that are approved, they are feasible. There's a round early next year where you apply for money to develop the actual engineering specifications to actually build the facilities. And then there's a 3rd round of competition where those that do design work are then able to apply and compete for money to actually build them.
Thank you, Dave, I forgot that, that's correct. Phase 2 is $1 million, it's gonna come out probably in February, and then phase 3 will probably be the next year, and that's gonna be $6 or $7 million per entity. But again, you know, we don't be doing all of this work and not have a bankable solution, right? It's nice to
Well,
take
the good
that
thing
money.
to come out of this, if we for some reason don't get money in the next round,
Yes.
it's unbelievable. We've got a plan to find a way to move forward on our own.
That's
But
correct.
If we get the 2nd round of funding for engineering, but don't get the money to implement, well, at least we're only 1 phase away from, now we just gotta figure out how to build it.
Exactly, exactly. Yes, sir.
Is it a fair assessment, looking at the chart, is it a fair assessment to say that even after this study is done, Entico is going to be here well into the future as a major partner in this whole endeavor?
I hope so,
In the
yes.
sense that you're investing significant capital resources into entities?
Absolutely, well, certainly, we've been investing a lot of dollars into the feasibility of this. I mean, we've been working here for 2 years, and I think our prior total bill to the county, I mean, to this entity was about $7,000 prior to this grant. So yeah, we are investing a ton of time and effort into this. I say this all the time. I mean, this is my personal pet project. I mean, our office is in Rochester. I moved up here because this has all of the components of making stuff go with a microgrid. So I'm extremely interested in what happens here, and we're putting a lot of time and effort into getting this done. Correct. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Okay. Thank you.
Take it right away from us. Anything else for the LDC? Motion to adjourn. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, give me a second.